Midlothian Voluntary Action has been supporting voluntary activity in Midlothian since 1974. As part of our 40th anniversary celebrations, we secured a Heritage Lottery Fund grant to examine the history of local community activism. This short film explains a bit more about what we discovered and what we did with our findings. Midlothian is a post-industrial area with a long and vibrant mining history. This brings with it a wealth of activism, including union activity, action around the miners' strike, and a range of community activity such as brass bands, gala days and pigeon fancying. Often community activism springs out of need, and we wanted to examine the history of local people responding to their circumstances, sometimes founding organisations that exist in the present day. The key themes we explored were community activity stimulated by local industries such as unions, education and recreational activity, self-help, communities meeting local needs through collective action, the role of women in community activism, and making our voices heard, how communities have worked with statutory agencies over the years.
It was thanks to the fact that I was watching this programme on television, and it was amazing in that part of the world, this place called Southall, where it started off with neighbourly care, where a few elderly persons knocked on each other's doors. And it's amazing what that became. Ultimately, they had their own premises, and they raised £650,000, which was incredible. And that gave me something to think about, and I thought, well, we'll try the same here.
When I was young, a mum, you did not go out to anything, and I mean anything. Once your husband came home from his work, you stayed with the children, and my mum said, my mum ran a lot of things, and that's who started to get me involved. She says, you come up on the tea committee, it's always the good jobs, you come up on the tea committee and wash the dishes, and that's how I got started, and I would only be in my 20s. And it's going in the family, because my own daughters now do exactly the same, which is a dying art. When I joined the union, that would be 30 odd years ago, there was only one other lady. It was the old Newpie Union, and there was only one other older lady there. So my girls, my home helps, said, look Mary, we really need, they were quite badly treated, the home helps. They said, Mary, we need somebody who's not afraid to speak. I thought, oh, here we go. So I got involved then, and then with the disabled, I got involved with the disabled, but I always feel if somebody's got rights, then you must fight for them. I enjoyed every minute, and I enjoyed taking on the men.
One of my early recollections of being, how can I say, encouraged to get involved in the voluntary sector, I was canvassing for a local councillor, going round the doors, and I knocked on this door to say to this elderly lady, she says, come in, son. Me, come in, son. Now, she wasn't the slightest bit interested in the politics. She wanted company. And I realised then, this isolation of elderly persons is a dreadful thing. And there has to be some means to try and overcome that. And that was, what can I say, it's probably at the start of my involvement with the voluntary section.
When I married, I wasn't 10 days in Howgate before somebody came to say, will you come and take the guides? So I was involved with them for from about 50 years without turning. But I very much got onto committees, because I would be representing the guides at MVA or VORAG, was it? And some of these other committees. So I got very quickly involved, and but my parents had both been involved with the church. Mother was president of the guild, and so we were brought up to respect voluntary work, and we were certainly expected to go into it whenever we had the opportunity.
My name is Fiona Wallace, and I sit on the board of directors for People First Scotland for Midlothian. People First organisation is an organisation run by and for people with learning difficulties, with support from staff. They run collective self-advocacy groups in Scotland, 5 of which are in Midlothian.
They do it as local and national, but the local ones, which I can give you kind of an idea of what they do, when it was floral displays in the local parks, the Brownies and Guides helped the gardeners set up floral displays. I know they did one in King George Park at Dalkeith and also in Pennycook. And that went on to a whole lot of ideas when I was at a meeting with guiders. They have carol concerts and they attend Remembrance Day parades. They also attend Christingle services, and that's in St Leonard Church at Lasswade, where they choose a charity to fundraise for. They also do litter picking in, I think, King George V Park at Bonnyrigg. One of the brownie packs has done that. Another brownie pack looks after a little flower bed at the brownie house, and they plant things there. They also collect articles for the shoebox appeal for Romania, Albania, through their local church, which they're doing at the moment. They also donate food to the local food banks. They have done bag packing at supermarkets to make funds partly for themselves and partly for a charity of their own choice. My own brownies did a concert for the NSPCC, that was some times ago. So that's all the local events, but national events, they also, which is governed from headquarters in London. They've done water aid appeals for Africa. They've done immunisation programme, helping to raise funds for Sri Lanka. They have done Marie Curie coffee appeals, having coffee parties in the most unusual places. And so it goes on. So they've got a lot of choice, but it's up to the guider who's running the unit to choose what she actually wants to do. But you know, they are involved the whole time in community works. And when I was a brownie and a guide many years ago, I can remember making egg cozies and knitting little things to pick hot things off the cooker, whatever you call those.
Hot holders.
Yeah, something like that. And we also made up boxes for patients in the then Loanhead Hospital, and there were tomato boxes, and we covered them and we took them all across to Loanhead Hospital and gave them to the patients there. Another guider made toffee apples for riding for disabled. So they're always out doing something. Yes. Yeah.
Each mining area, if fortunate, maybe had a miners club. So ours was coming out of Dalkeith Miners kitchen. Not the best kitchen in the world, but we made good use of it. And we were fortunate that one of our ladies worked in the canteen at Moncton Hall. So she kind of organised us all into various shifts and various, rotas and who did what. And yeah, it worked well. The men did the breakfasts, and I was obviously still working at Ferrante's at the time, and I would come when I finished there and peel the potatoes and that type of thing. But we're also fortunate in some local businesses gave us fresh food. But we also, because of the obviously trade union connections, we got lots of tinned food from Sogat, which is no longer existence. It's a print union, so I can't remember the name of it now. It's amalgamated with obviously other unions, but they were good to us at that time. So without the support of the other unions, we probably would have went under a lot sooner. But then obviously there was other reasons why the strike ended.
But the MVA has been a tremendous help to us, their group. There's no question at all. Particularly when Oscar decided to change the method of presenting your annual report. Was it Oscar demanded we extend that to 5 pages before, which was totally and absolutely beyond our capabilities.
MVA are advice, help, information. Nothing's too small, nothing's too large. If you go, they will help you. And 2 years ago, we haven't had a cafe up in Gorebridge for years and years and years. And I was talking to Eric, I said, you know, Eric, we really need a cafe. Because people like to go and talk and just, it makes you feel better. He said, and he helped me get it organised. And now your cafe's held every week in the church hall.
Working on different bits, obviously. So, do you want to do a few, and then what we'll do is we'll go to there, you go to there, then we'll knot it, we'll double stitch it there, and then I'll start another one here, so it's easier for you to sew at this side. Yeah, like that. It's really, don't you think it's really low? That's fantastic! You use the scissors. Sorry.
Well, scissors for making it.
Yeah, that's great.
Move it in the next one. I enjoyed that.
That's great.